My friends, welcome to another episode of the Nuclear Heatwave Wrestling Podcast, brought to you by Mafia Sports Report. I'm, as always, Dr. Love, and this right here, you know what? I got two words for this guy, Sauce Bronson.
Hey, hey, for once, I actually lift up the right finger because the way that the camera is set up on here, for once, I actually did it the right way, not the other hand. Shout out to
It's you. Like, hey, it's all good. But we have a lot to talk about. I'll tell you that for sure. We had a pretty wild little weekend here in wrestling, you know, going in from, a little bit from last week and then into Extreme Rules. And then, of course, Monday Night Raw. So there's a lot to talk about. So we're going to break it down here for you guys, me and Sauce. Yeah, so probably be several more puns as we continue on. But, so, first and foremost, I think we just got to, to get the rabbit out of the hat here, so to speak, and talk about pretty much, right? But after weeks of speculation and, maybe one of the worst kept secrets, if you want to say it that way, the return of Bray Wyatt to WWE. And it worked as well as everyone has assumed it was going to, with the viral marketing, with the, everything that was going on for the past few weeks, starting on house shows, going on to the Raw and SmackDown. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But in this era of social media, it was a perfect way to do it. It was perfect. And, he was there, showed up, and I mean, it gave me goosebumps. It gave me goosebumps even seeing it. But he was not alone, which makes me think when we were talking before, Sauce, we were talking about what he's going to return as. And you had mentioned it was going to be most likely like the Eater of Worlds gimmick or some kind of hybrid. And I believe that's where they're going with it, which is a smart move. It's a smart move. They had humans, people actually portraying all of his Funhouse characters, which was, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. They would show each character and their very demonic masks or outfits, and
Nightmare,
it all ended with
as I say, nightmare fuel costumes.
Oh yeah, pretty much the Rambling Rabbit one. Oh yeah, I mean that was pretty rough. That was a pretty rough one right there. Everything else was like, not that bad. The rabbit, yeah, gives Donnie Darko a run for its money, I guess. But but it was something else to see it, and I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. I will say, the big rumor is obviously with him changing his handle on Twitter to the Wyatt 6, So there's a rumor that he's going to come back with his own, Wyatt family-esque type group. And, we kind of talked a little bit back and forth of who we thought might be part of that group. And, maybe not all the members, but I had my ideas on a couple, and I didn't know if you had any, but if I had to say, at least if I had to say for the female, and believe it or not Alexa Bliss, even though it would be good, I always love her, but I think Liv Morgan is going to fill that role now, in my opinion. But I don't know. So what do you think, Sauce?
So obviously Liv will be, I would think Liv be, a pretty good choice. Seeing as how she's not the champion no more, you got the belt off of her. Now she can focus on this. Because, I mean, her run as a champion was pretty forgettable anyway, so it's not like it was a major blow to her for that. But there's been speculation that normally, I guess we don't really mess around with speculation too much on this show, but there's speculation about Bo Dallas returning.
Yes, yep, and that makes perfect sense that could still happen. Yeah. So I agree with that.
And I felt like Bo, I just felt like Bo for the longest, would always make sense, ever since his, ever since his motivation speaker gimmick, pretty much failed on the main roster.
So you're telling me you did not believe?
Oh, I believed. Oh, Vince McMahon didn't. And that's why he ain't working here no more. See?
Yeah.
But as far as that goes, I wouldn't mind seeing Rowan come back. I don't want to see Braun in that group. Let Braun just be Braun. Let Braun just do his thing. Then you could probably throw some other mid-carders in there who ain't really doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if Dexter Lumis wasn't doing so good in this kind of feud he's in with The Miz, I personally love to see him in that group. I mean, I've always liked him anyways, and I think it would work. He's already creepy enough, and it works very well.
Right.
But it's hard to say because you put someone in a group like that, then you're already kind of like pigeonholed in that group. So then they're not going to look at you any further, really. Now, sometimes if you're popular enough, you don't need like the championships or anything. I mean, look, the Wyatt family, they really didn't even you really get belts until for a while. Bray Wyatt never even won a championship until with Randy Orton, and it was the tag team championship. So sometimes you're just that good and you get over so well with the fans. I mean, you don't need the championship, So
well, that's like it's almost like imagine like if Undertaker would have never won a championship. It would have been like it's kind of almost like the same feeling, like as good as like Undertaker's character was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look at Kane. Kane for the longest, from like 97 to like
2002, 2001, 2001. Really, is when he was dominant because that was that Royal Rumble.
Well, as far as just like without having like the main event gold from like 97 to like I want to say maybe what was it to like 07 because that's when he won the ECW championship. And say what y'all want to say about ECW when they return, a championship belt is a championship belt no matter what. So
yes. Oh, yeah. And what do we have here? Yes. From our Extreme episode last week, I had made sure. Yeah, Kane, former champion.
You was extremely excited to pull that belt out too.
What can I say?
But as far as this kind of reminds me of that. Like I'm just like for an example, like big example, like Kane went like 10 years without a main championship belt. So I mean he was over from day one. That's like if Undertaker would have never won a championship, Yeah, he would have needed. Like, I think the only reason why they put the belt a couple times because it's a brand split.
Well, think about it this way too. Like, even when the Undertaker first won the belt, it was like brief, very brief. Immediately, that was during the Hogan eras and whatnot. And then then it kind of continued on. And when he got the championship again, it was he didn't need it, but it was go to another guy. Yeah. Then he's the world champion at WrestleMania, but that match he doesn't need the belt. He doesn't need the belt, and it still would have been like a very top tier type match for people to watch because they hear Undertaker, they're like, I'm watching that. I'm watching that match. So, that makes sense. So
now with Bray, it's like now that he's back. So I guess they're saying that he might be just SmackDown exclusive, which I'm not mad at. That's kind of how he was before. So. I'm thinking maybe give me a week of vignettes, just tease me for a bit, just make me keep me wanting more. And maybe you probably, because we're in the second week in October. Crown Jewel is November 5th. So obviously I don't, he don't have him show up at Crown Jewel. He doesn't need to be there.
No, so he doesn't.
So I'm guessing maybe, either before or after Crown Jewel, maybe he actually shows up in the ring. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think, Doc?
Yeah. I mean, definitely when Survivor Series comes up at the end, the end of November, he's going to be doing stuff at that point, but he'll already, apparently he is showing up on SmackDown this week. Yeah. So it'll be good to see him, because he's going to cut a monster promo. He really is. So,
when they say SmackDown, like obviously, he's going to show up SmackDown. I'm hoping that they just show him on screen, do some vignettes, or just cut the promo on screen. Like, I don't even want to see him in the ring just yet. Just keep him away from the crowd. Make the crowd want him. Like, we see that he's here now. Let us wait for him to actually step foot in the ring.
Yeah, yep. I think that's a good idea too, because last week we kind of talked about, and I had said that I believed it was going to be just a Titantron kind of video of him anyways, as opposed to showing up in the ring or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it was very much hyped, and it delivered, and into a pay-per-view show that was a much better representation of Extreme Rules than in the years past. Right. And then that kind of capped it off. Yeah, it worked well. So I'm excited to see where this goes. And under Triple H, I'm very excited, honestly. So
for the people who are watching, I guess for some of the people who might be watching this, feel free, to let us know, like, what are your thoughts on Bray coming back? What do you like to see them go from here? Obviously, Papa H, I don't think he's going to drop the ball or whatnot. Obviously, with Bray, most of the time, as history has shown us with Bray, when he shoots, he doesn't miss. So
Yep, that's a good way to put it. That really is.
So I know you're probably extremely excited to move on to the next thing.
Extremely. Yeah, so obviously on Saturday we had the Extreme Rules show, and it was pretty good. It was a pretty good show. Obviously, like I mentioned, it was going to be already better than the years past due to actually having stipulation matches. And there were some good highlights. There were some lowlights, but pretty much every show has that. So we're just gonna,
they can't all be slam dunks.
No.
But now, mind you guys, I was at a party, at a bachelor party, and every drinks was flowing and people having a good time, and I'm trying to talk to people and watch wrestling at the same time. So but then we eventually, found some time to rewatch it, and and then give our opinions. But I mean, it could have been a tornado. It could have been like Armageddon could have came back, but I was not taking my focus off my phone. Yeah, when Bray Wyatt showed up. So
yeah, it was very funny as the drinks were flowing for my bachelor party. It's that we had it come on. We're just like, look, we're watching. Yeah. Stop! I'm not taking any more drinks right this second. And then it's like, oh, thank you. Here's your drink. Thank you. But yeah, so that was good. So kind of going right in. Our opening match, which Sauce predicted for sure, was the 6-man tag match. Well, pretty much. Well, I don't even say tag is a kind of joke at this point, because it was a Donnybrook match, good old fashioned Donnybrook match with the Brawling Brutes and Imperium, and obviously this is working so well just based off of the Gunther Sheamus storyline that's been going on. Right. The day before you actually had Gunther Sheamus, and on SmackDown for rematch for the Intercontinental title, which then ended in controversy. It was another one that we've almost seen a couple times already in the past few months where Gunther Seth looked like he tapped. He didn't. Match was, then he gets out of it, and he wins the belt. He retains, but he tapped, And it's kind of interesting because we literally just saw this at SummerSlam, with Liv Morgan, right? We saw almost the same idea, like, oh, arms are down, someone tapped first, or Brock Lesnar with Undertaker a few years ago. I don't know. It's just, it works, but it almost seems like they're doing that a couple too many times now. But it did fuel the feud even more. So literally right off the bat, they're just fighting. I mean, you couldn't really pinpoint many moves here and there. I mean, everything was destroyed. The announcement table destroyed. First match already destroyed. They had like a nice little bar set up that just reminded me of the APA, the barroom brawls that they would have, where the whole thing was set up. And it was, it was actually, if there's one term to call it, and I had JR here, it was absolutely a slobber knocker. It really was. One of the
awesome spots was when they at one point when they all was facing each other, they got up and they all basically had they was like forehead to forehead getting up, getting ready to go at it some more.
Yeah.
And at that point, I mean, it was basically it was a car wreck. It was entertaining as hell to watch, and I was here for it.
Oh yeah, lots of shillelaghs. I half expected Finley to come back out, and start fighting some more or such, but but yeah, it was an entertaining match, especially for the Philadelphia crowd. Philadelphia obviously home to the old ECW back in the day, so they were pretty hot crowd pretty much the whole show. So that was a good one to kind of get them fired up. And the Brawling Brutes come out of victorious, which had to happen, really, because it wasn't for the title, but it had to happen to keep furthering the storyline. So we'll probably we'll see a tag team match now between Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser and Ridge Holland and Butch. We'll see that for sure happening. And then kind of moving forward, we'll see tag team. Not for the titles, but you're going to see another rematch. You're going to see a rematch with a stipulation for the title. You're going to see it happen. I'm not sure when, but you're going to see it. And honestly, if I had to pick one for them, Gunther, Sheamus, I either want best 2 out of 3 falls or Iron Man match. They're already proven that they're taking risks with these shows now, putting some good matches on there and giving them time. Give them an Iron Man match. Let them go. And I think that would work. I think the fans would be very supportive of it. And Sheamus is going to be busted open like a hamburger at the end of that. But, and so is Gunther after taking some clubbing blows. But, book it. I'm just saying, Papa H, come on.
Papa H, we give you free gold here.
There we go. I'm going to write the prescription right now. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, I definitely feel like the Brawling Brutes definitely needed this win because you basically had the leader of the period get 2 straight wins over. So,
yeah. So it made sense storyline wise, and we'll see what happens when it continues.
Now, I just had a random thought that popped up. Imagine if the Brawling Brutes was in AEW. And then just, imagine with the trios belts.
Yeah.
And then Bush just coming down the ring, just with his belt just in his teeth.
Gravity. He would too. So that would be awesome. Because he basically at this point is back to his bruiserweight gimmick, which is awesome to see that, and actually looks happy to be here. But, obviously that's not a coincidence.
Yep.
But yeah, very entertaining match. Good way to start the show for sure. And so unless you have anything else for that, I figure we kind of move on to the next set of matches here.
Let's say you keep it moving, Doc.
That's okay. That works. So now we have my very decisive match for me on this pay-per-view, but the Extreme Rules match between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. Yeah, it's funny. Obviously they set this feud up. They're building up a little bit too, and it's working. And they're almost at the point where they're pulling the trigger on the Ronda Rousey heel turn. It basically has happened, and by the end of this match, it was done. It was a full-fledged done, and that's good. That's a good thing to happen. So, This match just reminded me of some old ECW. Like, when I mean that, I'm sorry, like hardcore matches from WWF, like the early stuff where, you saw a lot of weapons come out. You saw some hits here with, some spots look good. But then at one point, you can see where Ronda has worked for the past few years since she's been there, but she still is green to when she kind of still jumps back into that MMA style fighting where you're, kicking, trying to, you're on the ground kicking, or you're not really in that wrestling type mentality. And it kind of showed for sure when they were trying to do a couple moves here and there where they were setting it up and it took too long to set up. So then that's always my big pet peeve when it comes to either a hardcore match, ladder match, which we'll get to later, or anything like that, because the second you start taking that much time away, you're already having that suspicion of disbelief about, like, someone's knocked out for so long. I'm knocked out. Okay. All right. They're still setting it up. But, there was a couple spots there, like where Liv wedged the chair into the turnbuckle, and then they went to go do a move door and it fell out. And of course, Michael Cole, who, by the way, first off, Michael Cole and Corey Graves were fantastic the entire pay-per-view. And
it's amazing. It's amazing. I was gonna say it's amazing what happens when you don't have somebody in your ear, the whole entire night.
Yep.
Just let them be them.
Yeah, and actually, they made an announcement at the beginning of the show that they are going to be commentating all of the pay-per-views from now on.
I'm not mad
duo.
at it.
No, I mean, after hearing him again at this show and how good he was, but excuse me, but after he did that move, or she had the chair, it fell out. They both acknowledged the chair fell out. Liv Morgan still does the move to Ronda. She looks like she didn't want to take getting hit because in her head, like, well, the chair's not there. It's not the right spot. She does the move anyways, and Corey Graves and I, well, that looks like that would have hurt her more if the chair had not fell.
Right.
And I'm like, oh boy, there we go. But it still was a good spot, even if there wasn't a chair there. But the match kind of continued on here and there, some spots, and then Liv Morgan's been doing this little table spot, kind of like senton off the top rope, and looked good. Smashing through the table with Ronda Rousey, looked good. Lots of submissions back and forth. And then it kind of ends on this kind of odd submission, where Liv had her in a move, and then, Ronda Rousey got her in a reversal of it. And it was almost like I don't know the technical name for it, but Ronda Rousey's very well known for arm bars from UFC, but it was something similar to where she was kind of holding on to her from the ground and had her on the ground. And then she passed out, Liv Morgan, apparently. But she was smiling the entire time. And she was smiling the entire time after she lost the belt, which Corey Graves made sure to bring up. And I thought that was very interesting for a few reasons. Some we won't talk about right here, but
right.
But yeah, it was Ronda Rousey, of course, afterwards. She did a classic heel. She stepped on her. She had the belt and stepped on her stomach to step over her. Thought fans were booing her. It was great. All that was great, and it really cemented that now she is heel, and going forward, just continue doing that work. I have no qualms about that at this point.
Oh, no, not at all. Like, I mean, for the most part of the match, rush again, it was another car crash. Ronda was basically just, at this point, Ronda just spent, what was it like? What was it? I think it was about 15 minutes of her just like, it was about 15 minutes of her just beating the brakes off of Liv. So at this point, I'm like, just entertain me, just keep it moving, because I'm not really that invested, but I just want to see where Ronda goes from here. Because I just have a feeling Ronda's going to walk away with this belt because they're going to get her ready for somebody, either Charlotte might be coming back, who knows, or me personally, I have her Baszler go at it at Crown Jewel.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, they'll definitely have a women's match there because that's kind of the new thing now. Because they've been having a women's match over there, and that's fine with me. And it should be a good match too. But
and so at this point, going forward with Ronda, just because even her wrestling will eventually get there, and she'll one way or another, either she'll get there or she won't. But as long as they just let her just be her on the mic, just what I guess at this point with Ronda, I would, when I see Ronda, I'm looking at like 2000. I want to say like 2011 Brock Lesnar when he came back.
Yeah.
Basically just an attraction who's just more of a UFC style than WWE style. And that's pretty much that's just at this point, this is what I want to see. Just have them just take their time with her, keep her as an attraction. But the only thing is don't have her, go like 2-3 months not being on TV if you're going to be a champion.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like I want to make sure this belt is getting defended, at least on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So even if she only shows up maybe if she only shows up like maybe 2 SmackDowns out the month, I'm fine with that. So, because I understand, she's also a mother or whatnot, and they want to just keep her like as an attraction. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'll work. They'll just to kind of treat it like how UFC is. You have a fight, you're a champion, you don't have another fight for a couple months. But again, but you have to dial that back in a little bit because you have to be on a few shows, but you just won't be on as much. It won't be like a Brock Lesnar who's not there for months, but she'll be there a couple times. Yeah, and that works. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But now that she's heel, I think it'll be good. I think we'll have some entertaining matches. We'll see how long she actually has the belt for. But yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Well, at this point, I mean, my guess would be have her probably keep the belt until. Well, I guess they have her keep the belt till Mania.
Yep, I could see that. Yeah, I could also see her. I could see her being part of the War Games. Survivor Series, though. Yeah. I could see her be a part of that.
Team Ronda versus it'll be like Team Ronda versus Team Belair.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure they're gonna have it. As far as brands versus brand. So
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Because I don't see Bianca keeping her belt till Mania, but I can see because, like I said, Ronda being an attraction. I can definitely see Ronda, hold on to it until Mania. But then again, say she lost the belt at what was it at Money in the Bank, and then when she went back for the rematch, she didn't get it. So who knows? I mean, I could be wrong. She might lose the belt tomorrow, according to Triple H's WWE. So
yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, ain't that true? But yeah, so kind of moving on now from that match. Now we have the match that I was looking forward to, and I was a little disappointed, but it was okay. And that was the strap match with Karrion Kross versus Drew McIntyre. And right off the bat, I was a little upset that they ended up not going with the traditional strap match rules, where you had to touch all the turnbuckles and then you'd win. It was just a regular pin or submit. But did they use that strap to their advantage? Yes. Yes. I mean, there was some nasty looking spots, some chops, some choking out, some slaps. I mean, and I'll tell you right now, it was interesting because Karrion Kross, I'm happy how much they're pushing him. He got a lot of offense on Drew McIntyre. A lot. I mean, it got to the point where I was like, I mean, is this Drew McIntyre right now getting his butt whooped? It was very interesting. But
I feel like with Kross, obviously he needed the win, but they definitely needed to make him look strong, considering how he looked like a gimp from 300, his first run on the main roster. So I feel like they definitely had to make it work this time, at least make it believable that he's back, that he's that guy now.
Oh yeah, they want people to do not remember me, like don't remember me at all from when I was here. But the match went, like I said, for a strap match, they were did a good job utilizing the strap for doing some pretty high intense moves there, high impact. And but what I thought was interesting was one, you have again beautiful Scarlett Bordeaux in a great perfect valet managerial role, which is sorely missing in wrestling,
Oh yeah.
And she came out first off looking very reminiscent of Sable back in the day. It was very uncanny. But on top of that, with the end of the match, you had kind of the dirty finish where, Scarlett came in to protect Carrion. Then she brings out the pepper spray, and all I could just think of was just Miss Elizabeth with like the hairspray and using it in like WCW, WWF to like incapacitate McIntyre, and then Karrion Kross gets the win. So it was, and then to top that off, when he was walking out, he puts Scarlett on his shoulder. I mean, that was like, so we're getting Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage again. It was
on the shoulder, just
Yep, it was crazy, and I'm like, okay, I like all these little nods here, I like all this, and it worked. Again, Karrion needed the win. Let's further a storyline a little bit more. Whether he, he's going to fight him again, but then at that point he needs to kind of move forward, and it might be a little hard for them. Honestly, it might be hard for a guy like Drew who loses at SummerSlam, all right, Clash of the Castle. I'm sorry, and it was like, you lose a high-profile match like that, and now you're kind of like, what am I doing now? What do we do with him? And Karrion Kross now, he's going to kind of move up, but I don't know. I don't know what they're going to end up doing. But I do like Karrion Kross, so I hope he gets pushed.
Well, I would say with Drew, he's basically top face right now, pretty much with the company. So even though he's got a couple losses, I mean, obviously he'll bounce back, get back on the win streak. He most likely at Survivor Series, he'll probably be involved with some type of team. So, but I feel like, I mean, once again, it's one of those things where because Drew, because McIntyre lost, because it was a dirty finish, it didn't hurt him.
No. Oh, no, of course not. It wasn't like he lost clean or anything. Yeah. I don't know whoever did that in the match. That didn't make any sense. Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan. I don't know. I don't know. But, yeah, no, it didn't hurt him at all to lose dirty like that. So, yeah, he'll still have a good push. It's, just where to at this point, But we'll see, We'll see what happens with him. But
yeah,
I was happy for Karrion, though.
Yeah. Because I guess at this point, because you got Crown Jewel and Survivor Series coming up. So Crown Jewel, for the most part, it's still a glorified house show. And, there's some matches where there's storyline driven, but for the most part, but then you also got Survivor Series where it's going to be it's half storyline and half just, and half just dream booking, as I call it. So these next couple months, I mean, for McIntyre and anybody else, is going to be interested to see where this all goes. Because once you get past these 2 pay-per-views, then you basically almost into WrestleMania season. So,
yep, because at that point, then you got Royal Rumble, baby, Royal Rumble in January. So then WrestleMania season, as you mentioned. So and that's gonna be a good time. And for wrestling fans, that's gonna be a great time. Okay, it looks like we got a good shake here from Wild Buffalo Matthew, and we got Chain Gang, go Bills.
What's going on, Matthew? I say, I'm just saying as a bitter Lions fan, it must be nice, having a team that, is competent, whatever. But that's that's neither here or there right now. But once again, appreciate you stopping by and checking us out for, two good boys from Michigan, blabbing about wrestling. So shout out to you, Matt.
But so kind of moving on with Karrion Kross and McIntyre, and from that match again, pretty good match. Now you get into a couple of matches that are all the matches were they were good, but they had some weird spots and stuff in them. But excuse me about that. Now you have like the women's championship, the Raw Women's Championship for Bianca Belair.
Yep.
Versus Bayley ladder match, which very interesting. Apparently, is the first singles ladder match for the women for the championship.
Which is
it was like, I mean, it's like, okay, really? And yeah, had to look it up. First time ever. There's been Money in the Banks. There's been other ones like that, but not, very weird, very crazy. And apparently in the Extreme Rules match from Liv and Ronda, that was only the second Extreme Rules match between women fighting in a match. So I thought that was crazy as well. But, going forward with this Bianca Bayley match, another match that was a good feud, built up. SummerSlam, the return of Bayley with her Damage Control group. And, Bianca looking dominant, just dominant champion. Again, kind of talking about earlier when it comes to like ladder matches, hardcore matches and such. Sometimes, less is more. That's what I'm trying to say. Less is more sometimes, especially depending on the spots you want to do or able to do. There was a couple spots early in the match where it made me cringe because I just felt for Bayley. There was a spot where they had put Bianca on the ladder and it was draped outside on, I believe,
the steps.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So Bayley goes to do an elbow drop to her, and I mean, she just bounces off her. Like, it doesn't. Now, those are aluminum ladders, and enough weight should make them cave in. Or no, she bounces off of Bianca and flops on the ground. It looks like she gets knocked out. And of course, they even showed a replay of it. I was like, oh gosh, come on. And I think Corey Graves is like, I think that took that Bayley out as well. I'm like, yeah, and thankfully she was okay, and the match continues. And there's some pretty good spots, here and there. There's another spot where Bayley just smokes her face on the ladder. Looks like she busted her teeth. But, when it comes to those kind of matches, so many people can get injured or just, a bump here and there. Maybe not just injured, but, busted open. And, it's crazy to think about Money in the Bank back in the day. Like, I know Money in the Bank is like every year, but I'm talking about the older Money in the Banks from the WrestleMania eras. Like, talk about the choreography for these matches you got to have where you're not getting these people's way. You're not, you're actually making it look like a spot that could work. And that's usually 6 people, 5, or even 8 people. I think at one point there was a Money in the Bank head. So this one-on-one match, and of course, Damage Control came out, did their thing, and Bianca fought back, and it went good. There was some good spots here and there. Pushed her off the ladder,
just like I predicted.
Yep, absolutely. Sauce definitely got the seal of approval on that one. So
I'm just saying this weekend I was a wrestling prophet. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Now, hey, I was pretty good too, mainly after the pay-per-view, but we'll talk about that.
As far as Bianca goes, to me, like I said, she's like a female Cesaro, where she does a lot of the spots she did. Like, she did one where she was like at the bottom on the mat and just pushed the ladder up. As far as when the girls is on the ladder, it was just like her and all her He-Man strength. Yeah, I'm just looking like all I can think of is, once again, this is something that Cesaro would do.
Speaking about that inhuman strength, she also did that spot with Io Sky and Dakota Kai where they were on the top rope.
Yeah.
On the top rope, and she gets both of them on her shoulders, like John Cena style. Hey, it's shocking, and flipped them over to this move, to take them out or whatnot, and it looked good. It was a good way to get them out of the match so they could continue on the match. And again, some good spots there. At one point, it looked like Bayley was definitely going to win. And then, I feel like she did this move, and then Bianca kind of like, I'm up, I'm back up, let's go, and got her down. And then at the end of the match, Bayley, she picks her up for her finisher, and Bayley's got a hold of the ladder. She's kind of got a hold of the ladder like this, and I'm sitting here like, oh God, please don't don't F this up or something. Like, it was, and she flipped her around perfectly to where the ladder, and she smokes the ladder. I mean, it was a perfect spot for what they wanted to do. It didn't flip out on them. I was afraid it was going to turn outside or something. And it was a perfect spot. Out, knocked out, cold, climb ladder, retains the women's championship. But yeah, Sauce definitely predicted this one to a T. I mean, that was
yeah. I just felt like, because for some reason, I just felt like, okay, she got this new group, and most times, when people form groups, usually if the person's champion, they're usually already champion by the time the group is formed. But usually, I just know it just felt like usually when you try to form a group and nobody that person isn't champion yet, usually they might have to go through a couple trial and errors to finally get the goal. And that's just what I felt with Bayley's group. So it's just they missed the opportunity that they could capitalize on this time. But I'm pretty sure eventually we're gonna see Bayley with gold, and everybody had gold in that group in Damage Control. So. And it's one of those things with Bayley, the only reason why she had to be here because she got hurt. So, even when she comes back and when she does become champion, it's not one of those things where, it's like if somebody just stormed and walked out, left for a minute on sour terms and come back, they get, they just go to the top and you're like, man, like that sucks. But, with Bayley, I mean, for a lot of part with during the COVID time, I mean, she was carrying that women's division on her back. So I think eventually.
I don't know who you're referring to though when you're talking about women that just walked out because they were upset with their storyline and they didn't want to defend their women's championship, their tag team championship.
In the words of New Day, who?
Yeah, that's not really a boss move there. Apparently, I don't know.
No, it's not boss at all.
No, it didn't really glow up with me either. But
but see what you did there. But going forward, I think I definitely think that eventually Bayley will have she'll have championship gold around her waist. It didn't happen last weekend, but I think eventually it'll. I mean, because like I said, you got Crown Jewel and then you got Survivor Series popping up. So I wouldn't be surprised if she does win gold in that time period.
Yeah,
it's going to be on it's going to end up happening on Raw.
Yeah, and kind of interesting, you mentioned earlier about Charlotte possibly for Ronda. I thought Charlotte for Bianca. Charlotte coming back to face Bianca.
Oh, yeah, I mean, obviously they wrestled before, but I mean, with them two together, with Bianca having the belt, it'd be like a big fight feel. I mean, we all love to see that again.
Yep. So, yeah, and her return is going to be a big return, too. It really is. And hopefully at one point, if Alexa Bliss decides to actually want to, be a top contender in the women's division, I'd like to see her back. But, we'll see.
Right,
we'll see. But, going on with the show, which, again, at this point, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I was entertained with everything. Then you have to make sure to take a bathroom break before this. Not that this match was a bathroom break, but just make sure you take one before. And that's the I Quit match with Edge and Finn Balor. So, again, the only reason why I have to say this is that match, I mean, I should have checked exactly how long it was, but it was long. I mean, it was a long match. They gave him a lot of time. And
I can find out why you chit-chatting.
Oh, yeah. Sauce. We do have the magical device that would be the interwebs. So, but, keep going. No problem. So, again, very happy to see a different stipulation being brought back that we haven't seen in a little bit. And these guys really did a great job. It was the first time that Edge and Finn Balor has ever wrestled. So that was kind of cool. Finn Balor came out with a pretty badass looking mask. I mean, it was basically black, all with like spikes all over it, like black spikes. And I know you could see there was like a mesh, but I mean, it looked cool. It just looked like some Metal Gear Solid villain or something like that, and of course, this is, you have a Judgment Day. It's going to be out there. I Quit matches are basically Extreme Rules in a sense. So you have to deal with that. But that going forward with the match, they went back and forth, man, back and forth, and a really good job. Good job with their, counters, big moves, and of course, being an I Quit match, you want a lot of submissions, not just slam them down and ask them. Hey, we don't none of that. No Gunner and Bram nonsense. Like, there was some good chokeouts. I mean, at one point, because they were in Philadelphia, and you have the Philadelphia Flyers from the NHL there, and Edge being Canadian, of course, he had to get a hockey stick, which I thought was very funny, and he started cross-face choking out Finn Balor with it, and I was like, okay, all right, it was pretty cool seeing that, and going forward, they kept doing some moves here. Oh, all right, so I think Sauce do have a little technical difficulties. He'll be right back, but I'll tell you right now, it was the back and forth with it. Finn Balor really showing off some great moves, and I mean, it definitely kicked some butt. And we got Sauce back, baby. So
sorry about that, guys. Google Chrome was acting weird, so
it's all good. We got you back.
Sorry, guys. I promise you, this was not a work.
No, it's not a work. Oh boy, but so you had some good submissions there. Crossface, it seemed like a lot of them. And then of course Damage Control comes out. I mean, I apologize. Judgment Day comes out, doing all their shtick there. But then you had a cool spot. You had Dominic coming out, being all scared of Edge, and then Edge low blow on him. Pretty cool. It's a cool spot. Kind of continues on going forward. We're moving forward, and it then goes to Beth Phoenix coming out, which I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect it at all to happen. And then so Beth Phoenix comes out, beating the crap out of everyone with the kendo stick. I mean, it was kind of funny because I bet Damian Priest and them said, just hit me so hard, I don't care, because. And then of course Rhea Ripley comes out. They're doing their thing, which is nice to see because, with Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley basically being the leader. I mean, come on, we all know that. She just, kicking butt here and there, and seeing her against another like alpha type female was good to see that, kicking butt there back and forth. Oh, yeah. And then you go with Edge. I mean, went WrestleMania power at that point. I mean, he gave like 3 spears to Finn Balor, like over and over and over. It was going good, and then the brass knucks come out. Rhea Ripley knocks out Beth Phoenix. Then Judgment Day get a hold of him, and then he does 3 coup de grace to Edge, which, I mean, they looked good. I mean, they looked good. It looked like they hurt, but they looked good. Then they, continue to move on with, holding them down. And then one of the coolest spots, honestly, and I've watched wrestling so long, you've watched wrestling, I've never seen what they did after this. They go to do the concerto, obviously Edge, Christian's, very iconic move. And they go with Rhea Ripley to try to do that to Beth Phoenix, unless he quits. And she goes to hit, and he quits. He says, I quit. And again, it was just insane. Like, no one has ever thought to do something like that for an I quit match. It's always been, beat him up, make him submit, have Mankind's Mick Foley's voice put over the PA system, and he didn't really quit. And that I quit match years ago, which still pissed me off to this day, but wrestling. But seeing that happen, and then Rhea Ripley still giving a pretty vicious concerto, they do a good job, like, obviously, like, protecting the head by, leaving out the lip of the chair. But you actually watch it, it was still pretty rough to take the hit. And, basically ends there. And Judgment Day, again, come out victorious. So, it's, I do like what's going on, with it, but it's gonna now with Edge at this point. Edge is not gonna be. You're not gonna see Edge now. You're not gonna see them for a bit. I think. I don't. Yeah. There's no point. He'll be rehabbing Beth Phoenix himself, that kind of stuff, and there's really no point. They're obviously setting up for a Rey Mysterio Dominic match. They're gonna set up for that, but they're not. They're gonna see Edge most likely. You're not gonna see anything like that, and it kind of just was kind of the whole point of this whole pay-per-view. You see these different type of matches happen, and then maybe you won't see them feud anymore. Like, I don't see them feuding much after this. So, but So yeah, what were your thoughts on the match?
I mean, like you said, this match was like probably like 15 minutes too long. But it felt like it was like 2 episodes of Seinfeld. That's how long it took. But it was like, when I was watching it, and sometimes my brain just the way it does. I was thinking about Batman vs Superman, like how they had like 3 different like story plot lines in this one thing, and that's just how I felt with this match. It was like they tried to basically wrap up everything they could as far as Mysterios and Judgment Day feud and not. It was like watching like 5 different storylines take place in this one match.
Yeah,
but everything got wrapped up the way they wanted it. Balor, like to see him come out with that mask a bit more, and I think with that mask was cool because he's trying to like basically it's like we're seeing him take on a new persona.
Yep.
Yeah. Not just regular Finn Balor, not the Demon King, Finn Balor. This is now Judgment Day Finn Balor.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. And it's now that this is all taking place and this is all done, now we see, who else they're going to go against. Now I feel like I'm a bit more invested.
Yep.
As far as we come to Judgment Day now, I feel like they finally got the training wheels off on the stable. Now let's see where we go.
Yep.
And then the match itself, was a wild ride. And after a while, it was like, okay, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, because I was watching it. I did a couple, things around the house. I, took my dog out, the back and forth, and then it was like, this is still going on. What is going on? But, sometimes the match is gonna run long like that. Like AEW, for example. Remember with Chris Jericho's match? Like he was the longest match of the night, but it didn't feel like it was the longest match. And the last show, it was weird. It was like, but this unfortunately felt like it was too long, and that's a problem if you're ever sitting there. But yeah, I think they'll dial it back down now. Hopefully, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, and I think too, because this, when this is a match that you're not really fully invested into, it seems like it can take forever. That's the other thing too. That's the other way I kind of look at it.
Yeah,
like obviously, like if they gave. Let's just say they did a dream match of Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle. It was the Iron Man match. You'd be so excited. You think the match was only like 35 minutes. You feel like it went by so fast just because you was just so invested into it. This is just the way I see it. So like with this match, it just felt like it took forever. I mean, granted, it was actually pretty solid match.
Yep.
Or whatnot, but overall, it was just one of those things like, all right, I'm glad this is over. Let's move on.
Yep.
These guys did they, respect to the guys, respect to the guys in the ring, you did your thing. Now let's keep it moving.
Yep. Well said. But so moving on to the main event of the evening. Was Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins in a fight pit match. And we kind of talked a little bit last week on our preview. There's only been 2 fight pit matches now in WWE, and Matt Riddle was in both.
Yep.
He was in NXT. He fought Timothy Thatcher, and now he fought Seth Rollins. And what's interesting is the match. I mean, design. I was all for it. I personally liked it, because it's basically like, it's kind of it's a cage match, but then it has an extra level around that you climb up, and you can like then wrestle on basically kind of like the apron, like we think about a little bit bigger than like the ring apron when you're fighting on a ring. And then they have that ledge that they would also be able to fight on. The top was open, but it wasn't all about that. It was all about just pin or submission, I believe. See, it was weird rules because at one point they said it was only submission, but regardless, it was and Daniel Cormier was special guest referee. So it was pretty cool to see that. Because again, Seth Rollins right now is pretty much. I hate saying just golden. He's like platinum now. He really is. And, if that he can make that a gimmick, platinum Seth Rollins, it would work. Come on. He comes out with like a complete like silver platinum suit, like shiny.
Tell me say come out looking like the Los what was that with Edge and Christian when they dressed up as the all go?
The Conquistadors?
Yeah, Conquistadors.
Yes.
dress
Yep.
him.
Yep.
But then I want him to be like, I wanted to be like all gold, like he's wearing a green man suit, but then just to cut out his face right here, so you just see
his face like.
So he basically looks like he looks like a golden Teletubby just coming out.
He could make it work. That's Seth Rollins. He could make that work. He literally has been the MVP, in my opinion, this year in wrestling. Like if it, obviously you have different champs and stuff like that, but he has been because of all these matches he's had, and how he's been great in them. He's been selfless. He's been putting on clinics in these matches, and it's crazy. So as for the actual match itself, I mean, it's good. Riddle's very talented. I cringe every single time he does any move with like jumping off the ropes with his bare feet or hitting the ground with his bare feet, like he's gonna bust his ankle or his shin. I don't know. But he's still doing it, and he's pretty good. He's still really good and very entertaining to watch. He's never gonna hit the higher echelon in wrestling with the bro gimmick, though. It's just not going to work, and or at least dial it back down a little bit. It's still entertaining, it is, but I'm still a fan. He's great on the mic. Fans like him. I'm definitely a fan of it. And the match itself was, it's pretty good. But I think what happened is the fans were just tired. Like they're exhausted now. So
from the match before.
So like at that point they're like, oh, okay, all right, what do you got? Oh god, main event. Okay, here we go. And and that's what happens sometimes when you have a show that doesn't really have the buffer match like that. That was my only reason why I thought the Brawling Brutes might have been on later, but they ended up being a hot match to open the show. So, but yeah, usually you would have some kind of small buffer match to kind of do that. And back in the day, it used to be randomly like the women's match, when they didn't really care about pushing the women's division.
And then it used to be 205 live matches.
Oh my gosh, it really was. Oh, how many pay-per-views did they do where you had a big match and it was like, now get the purple ropes out now, the tape on the ropes. And it's like right before the main event.
Then at that point, you're like, well, get the toilet paper out because we got to go to the bathroom break.
I know, right? And that's sad to say because there was some very good talent on 205 Live. They just didn't want to push it. I mean, I was surprised that they even tried to put it on Raw and SmackDown when they did. But,
Well, that's why I say NXT was the best choice for them. And so, I mean, for the most part, it worked. But I would say that, but as far as the main event, it was weird because with Cormier, so he was refereeing. And then there'd be moments where, one guy is on top of the other, just beating him up. And then Cormier would just get him off, like, oh, that's enough, back up, back off. And I'm like, this is supposed to be like an MMA match.
Yeah, so you're supposed to let him keep doing that. That's the whole point,
I just thought it was ironic and weird that you got a guy, UFC guy, who's, officiating this. And, yeah, it was just weird as far as that goes. But, I mean, but everything else, I wasn't mad at, once again, Seth Rollins with his hijinks and his trolling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Remember, Seth Rollins is great in the ring, but he's also with the drip. The drip is amazing.
Oh, yeah. Drip never takes a back seat. But but as far as with that match, I mean, it's pretty much what we wanted to see. The guys fighting inside, fighting on the upper level apron. And then at one point, it looked like Seth Rollins is going to do the top, but then climbs up, and then they go fighting up at the top. Or not, and then like I said, Riddle dominated a good part of that match too, and it was good to see that Riddle got the win. Basically, because the first time they fought, it was like basically Rollins outsmarted them. Now, the second time they fought, Riddle, they've basically fought in Riddle's domain. Now it makes you wonder, how they gonna conclude this the rubber match.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious. Well, it's very interesting after we talk about Monday Night Raw, which we will just a little bit. So, but yeah, I mean, it was, I liked it the crowd was just gassed. I mean, if you're watching it, you'd be a little gassed too. You know, just watching it but yeah, it was still entertaining. And like you said, going into a rubber match with them, most likely it's going to be a good choice. So I can't wait to see it. And what was cool though, and I thought this was pretty funny overall, is that at the end of the match, or the show, I should say, they tricked you. They tricked you with the old the logo at the bottom of the screen when the pay-per-views would end. So you're like, show's over. Nope. Then the video vignette for Bray Wyatt's return. I mean, it was because at that point, if he didn't come back, I mean, they were a riot, you know, with all the promos and everything.
With that Philadelphia crowd. Oh yeah,
because it wasn't like they just the promos before the show. During the show, they played little snippets of like the White Rabbit running, and it would glitch out. So it was like during the whole show, they still did it. And as we talked about in the opening, then Bray Wyatt's triumphant return, and it was glorious. It was awesome.
You notice after they did the logo, when everything said done, Michael was on the air.
Yep. Oh yeah. Again, going back to their commentary and how great and how enthusiastic and how excited they were, because you know Vinnie Mac was not in his ear yelling, nope. God damn, you're not saying the right thing, or you know, some variation of that. So overall, I think the show was pretty good. Again, light years ahead of the past years, you know, Extreme Rules. So that's a good thing right off the bat, you know. And, you know, a couple matches were a little too long. Other than that, though, it was entertaining. And, of course, with Bray Wyatt coming back, that, you know, really brought a lot of people in to watch it, to see that.
Oh, yeah. Like, overall, like, normally we do our little headlock ratings, but because we had so much going on this weekend, we got, you know, I watched it, but I didn't really take notes like I normally do. But overall, with the pay-per-view, you know, I did, got the time to actually watch it. But overall, like, I'll give it 3.5 headlocks out of 5. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. I think it's fair.
Yeah,
even like that, and that's not even including the Bray Wyatt return.
Oh yeah, no, you can't. You have to don't count that. That's his only thing. So
yeah,
but I have to agree with you. I'd have to say, 3.5 headlocks out of 5. Yeah. So, you know, so you have this big show Saturday, great show. Sunday, I was pretty much incapacitated most of the day after a good bachelor party with good friends, including one of my groomsmen here, Sauce Bronson. So
that'd be me.
But going into Monday Night Raw, which was the season premiere of Raw, they had already been kind of advertising it as the 25th anniversary of D-Generation X, which makes us both feel old.
Old as hell.
Oh, gosh. Oh, but, you know, I'll tell you right now, this show delivered. You know, we're not going to talk about every little thing that happened, but we will talk about some of the highlights, which there were a few. I mean, like right off the bat, they had, you know, Triple H, you had, X-Pac and Road Dogg, you know, and Shawn Michaels backstage doing their little antics, and they got Triple H there in the gorilla position, you know, not in some like fake little, office or something. He was in the real gorilla position, and he's like got his glasses. He's like, guys, we can't act this way. And it was just all the great old DX humor. It was really fun to see that. Yeah, it was great. It was great to see that. And
mind you, we was watching. So me and Doc, we was watching it last night together at his house, and I kind of marked out because when they were showing where he was at the computer, you actually saw the label that said Gorilla, Gorilla monitor.
Yep. And that's why I knew that he was actually at the real position. He was, because you could see that's where Vince McMahon would be at. And there's been photos of him, documents of showing where he's at that position. So it was cool to see that, you know. And I think that was for the fans, especially the more, astute fans like us that see that, like, hey, like, this is real, obviously, but this is like, and it was a good opening, it was a good opening for Raw. And it kind of just, it moved on from there, and you had some good stuff happen. And, the one thing I will say about the DX reunion, Bart, there wasn't really much of it, but it was, I think, a right amount of it.
Yeah.
I think it was, they showed up for like one more little thing, and then they were at the tail end of the show, like right at the end of the show. And it was short, sweet, came out. I was really hoping, personally, it was a long shot. I was really hoping that there would be a little video, possibly, from, Daddy Ass, Billy Gunn, or, badass Billy Gunn, and just to be like, because he was there. But there wasn't. But it was funny because Road Dogg doing his spiel, everyone was with him the entire time. But Corey Graves was on the commentary. He said, "Yeah, I think Billy Gunn's working with office supplies or something. I don't know." And I just was like, "Yeah, wait, what is he doing?
Wait, hold on.
See, it worked." So yeah, when he said that, it made even though he didn't have his video or do anything, that made me happy. And of course, with X-Pac, who was just happy to get a phone call for this. Really he brought up China and said, thank you to China. And I'm telling you, even though they did put China in the Hall of Fame, that wouldn't have flown, I don't think, if McMahon was still in charge. We're giving him a hot mic, which would have never flown, I think.
Yeah. But overall, it pretty much was like a Monday Night Raw show that just featured DX for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, pretty much,
looking back at it after the show was over, I realized, I was like, we didn't see no DX highlights, no DX clips of like back in the day. We didn't really see much of DX. Like, it got to a point where after a while, you forgot that they were supposed to be on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I remember because we were watching, because here's the other thing, though. There was a lot of stuff that happened in between all this. So, while this stuff's happening, we're like, wait a minute, is DX part of the show?
Yeah.
We're ready. We're ready. We're waiting. but yeah, I wish there was a few clips here and there they could have popped in there, and then go right, for, like the last commercial coming back into the wrestling. That would have been cool to see, but it is what it is. Short and sweet. They had their stuff, got done. Yeah. And then made sure to sell enough merch too, because for sure the glow stick.
How much you want to bet them those Brooklyn DX shirts is on eBay selling for at least a good $200 right now?
Oh yeah, because they probably aren't going to sell them for that one show. They've gotten used to doing that for some special event shirts that they won't sell them on their website. They'll sell it just there, and good luck trying to get it. But yeah. It was really entertaining. But what, in my opinion, was more entertaining was everything else that happened on this show. Because you said it kind of felt like a Raw, like a kind of supersized Raw. To me, it felt like almost a Raw after WrestleMania used to be.
Yeah.
Because there was some returns here, and I was very happy to see. First right off the bat was, we have Judgment Day coming out, and Finn Balor is going after AJ Styles again, which they've already been kind of doing while this whole thing with Edge was kind of going. He's been doing this little bit of work setting up a storyline with AJ Styles, which to me is fantastic. You got two former leaders of the Bullet Club, and they would put on a clinic in a match. So, he comes out, he says, "No, you need to be with us." And AJ Styles, he bends the knee. Of course, it's it's a ruse. It's a ruse. He bends the knee and says, "I want to, I got my guys," and he thinks it's them. But the Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson from the club, the OC, come back, and I mean, I'm shocked. I'm. You can ask Sauce. I was like, "What? I can't even believe this."
Would you say AJ Styles broke it down on one knee?
He did break it down, didn't he? He really did. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was crazy to see that. And Carl Anderson is still currently the New Japan Pro Wrestling Never Open Weight champion.
Yeah.
He's currently their champion still. So it's like, cool. All right. But it was great seeing that, because now you have a legitimate team to fight against Judgment Day, and it's perfect now. Now you actually have, like, if you want some 6-man tag matches there, then of course the singles match that I'm waiting for with Finn Balor and AJ Styles. So seeing that return, yeah, that was pretty sweet. I was very, very hyped for that. And then to open the show, of course, you got more great Sami Zayn work. And I'll tell you, that crowd in Brooklyn, I mean, they just love Sami Zayn. It was anything he said, they were just cheering beyond anything. It was nuts.
Would you say he was feeling very oozy that evening?
He was feeling very oozy. Yeah, he was very oozy, wasn't he? And it was just crazy because seeing all the facial reactions that Jey Uso's doing without even saying a word, it works so well. Solo's just sitting there like a statue, perfect. Gosh, he looks like Rikishi. It's insane. I mean, it's insane.
I was telling you last night because obviously the Usos, you can tell they like favor Rikishi. I don't know what their mom. I mean, I don't remember what their mom looks like, but obviously, they do share some features of their father. But little brother, oh yeah, when he came out the womb, they all looked at Rikishi like, yeah, this is definitely yours.
You can't deny him. Not gonna happen.
When Solo popped out, they was like, yeah, you can't deny that one. I mean, even down to his like jaw, like it was like the image of Rikishi.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So they had a good promo there, setting up for a match with Matt Riddle with Sami Zayn later in the evening. Which, regardless of that match, honestly, it was just the continued storyline with Sami Zayn and the bloodline, and it's just working so well because Sami Zayn is just so over with the fans. He's just so over, and it works. So please continue that.
Sami Zayn. I've been telling people, people have been sleeping on Sami Zayn for the past year. I told you all he had to do was he grew his hair out, he became a cowardly heel, and he just needed the right storyline. He just needed the right storylines to catch steam. And I mean, Sammy's been killing it I'm just glad that people have been noticing what I've been noticing for like the last year plus with good old Sammy.
Yeah. And then continue on with Raw. You also have the Way reunion match with Johnny Gargano versus Austin Theory, and very funny. That has nothing to do with the actual wrestling. My beautiful fiance was watching a little bit of wrestling before she ran off to do some errands. I think just to run away sometimes, but.
Well, that's because Sheamus wasn't on TV.
Correct. Yeah, so. Sheamus was not on TV, so that was probably the reason why she did leave. That's a good point, Sauce. But it made me laugh because when she doesn't know a lot of these newer wrestlers, so when she saw Austin Theory come out, she goes, who is this Chooch? She watches a lot of Jersey Shore, which is okay. So he reminds me of a character. I said character, but Vinny from the show. And I said, yeah, he's a Chooch. But from what they say on the show, and I said, yeah, he does like selfies and all that stuff. He goes, she goes, oh yeah, he's. I don't.
Listen, shout out to Jersey Shore, the greatest reality TV show ever. You can add me all you want.
Oh gosh, but the match was pretty good. Standard kind of match, and Austin Theory again takes the loss again, and so it's just a continuation of him just losing every match that he's in.
But I think it worked. But I definitely think it works with him because his at this point, Austin Theory now because him losing so much, it's almost like he's become more obnoxious. Yeah. So it works now because every week he says does something obnoxious. He gets his butt kicked, and then it's like he never learns his lesson, and he just does the same thing the next week. So I feel like now people are booing him now because not because they were not because they felt like he was forced upon them with McMahon. Now when they boo him, they just boo him now because of his character. Because,
and that works. That's good. That's a good thing.
So now he just comes off as a pompous jerk who never learns his lesson because he gets his, because he's gonna get his butt kicked, and we just wait to get what's coming to him, and then he does it all over. He does it all over next following week. So to me, my definitely care about who I had no concern for. Now when I see a pop on TV, I'm like, okay, let me see what obnoxious thing he gonna do that's gonna cause him to get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
For so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah. So we'll see where it goes on that storyline with that. So yeah, Raw keeps moving forward, and it's kind of funny. So this is where I start becoming a psychic at this point. We were just because we always like spitballing what's going to happen here and there and stuff, and Miz and Maurice had their birthday celebration for the Miz, had all these presents and cake in the ring. Maurice, another great valet, by the way, going back to talking about Scarlett Bordeaux, but
yeah.
While they're doing all this stuff, because obviously the Miz has got this storyline with Dexter Lumis, and they keep saying that he who shall not be named. I'm like, he's not Voldemort, but come on. But we were sitting there talking with Sauce, and I said, Dexter Lumis is under that middle package, and it's just going to be his head. And they did a good job faking it out because underneath the table they had these two big exercise balls that were Miz's balls with this big picture on them. So by doing that, it made it look like no one was under there. And I still sound like, no, his head's right there. And he lifts it up. And of course, Dexter Lumis is right there. His face staring at him. Oh my gosh. And it was great. He gets up, knocks Maurice into the cake. He stabs, eats cake. The fans were definitely chanting, eat the cake.
Yeah. As I told him last night, only in pro wrestling, you get a crowd screaming for a wrestler to eat the cake. And when he eats the cake, they all go crazy.
Yep.
Only in pro wrestling you get this.
Yep. So that was good to me. So I was seeing that. It was a nice, and then they finally set it up till next week on Raw. You have Miz versus Dexter Lumis. Miz wins. Dexter Lumis is gone. Dexter Lumis wins. He gets a contract officially with WWE. So, I mean, obviously how that's set up is he's going to win because, but it's still great that he's finally there's going to be a one-on-one match here, after all these weeks.
And I hope the way that, first, I do like the way that Triple H has been booking him. Like, they've been taking their time with him.
Yep.
Especially for those who didn't watch NXT, now they get to understand who this guy is. Every time he shows up, it's something important or a big deal, so he has your attention. So now, once he gets done with his business feud, I hope they continue the same formula where you'll basically find out who his opponent is because you'll start seeing him in the background, staring and start stalking him. I mean, it's a gimmick, it's a failed DDP gimmick that worked for the right guy.
Yep, it's working now. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure Paul Heyman. I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Heyman, has been. Kind of in Triple H's ear, like, hey, you should. It would look good if you did this way or that way. Because the reason why I bring it up is because how they're taking their time with Dexter Lumis, as far as with when he showed up, you find out that with the way that he got the Street Profits over, they were just having him back. He was having them backstage, just doing segments and stuff.
Yeah,
to the point where you get the crowd, invested. Like, okay, who are these guys? Okay, these guys are funny. Let's see what they do in the ring. Like every week, they would just pop up and do their thing, and so that makes me wonder. Obviously Paul Heyman, he's probably not full creative or full time creative, but I'm sure I'm sure he does have a conversation with Triple H, like, hey, it would be a bad idea if you tried this or did it this way. So. But shout out to Dexter Lumis. He's a national treasure. He should be protected at all costs. And I forgot to mention earlier that Seth Rollins is the songbird of our generation.
Yes, please keep on. So kind of moving forward too with the show. Here's another thing that was really funny because we talked about this last week. We talked a little bit about randomly how Almas has not been on TV because Triple H probably didn't want to really push him anymore because he comes back. He comes back on Raw, and he fights local talent in a handicap match. And he's got new. He looked like he lost about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Gained some muscle. Has a new outfit. They're referring to him as the Nigerian Giant. But it was interesting because the entire time he was with AJ Styles or doing anything, he looked a lot more like Great Khali, like better, but he still lumbered around.
Yeah.
In this little match here, or beatdown, he was running faster I've ever seen him run, hitting these ropes. I mean, it's like, it's almost like they probably gave him an ultimatum. Maybe they said, look, we want big guys here too, but you're going to have to move. You're going to have to do more wrestling. You're going to have to be more agile. We're not saying doing no planchas off the top rope or over the top rope or anything, but you got to be able to.
We don't need you doing 619s, or we don't need you doing 450 frog splashes and all that crazy stuff.
No,
we just need you to move better than Great Khali. That's where the bar is set.
Yeah, right. And I mean, even though it was just local talent, it was actually it was different seeing them back. But we'll see where that kind of goes, how they're going to push that, because now you have Braun Strowman, now you have Omos, I'm not saying that they're going to fight, because that really is just two big guys, but it's like they got two big guys on each show, or whatever Strowman's going to end up doing, because he came back.
Well, eventually them two are going to have a Royal Rumble moment. Just watch. You heard it here first.
Yep. Hey, hold on. I'm already drinking for it. We got drink.
Yeah.
Big guy stare down. Oh boy. But speaking of Seth Rollins, our Songbird, he actually got a title defense against Bobby Lashley for the United States title. And that was on, again, another time that title has been defended on Raw. Bobby Lashley has done a very good job with it. So, they're getting ready for that match. Seth Rollins is showing him all beat up, bandaged up from the Fight Pit match the day before, or 2 days before. And, Bobby Lashley comes out and he cuts a promo, starts off like a pretty good promo, And again, right before this, me and Sauce were talking about just pushing forward with storylines, especially with Crown Jewel. And I mentioned a couple people, and I mentioned this person, and I said, well, maybe they'll come back, because they really have only had the one match or something or whatever. Bobby Lashley talks, and boom, Brock Lesnar's music hits.
Yep.
Brock Lesnar still in his cowboy, farmer gimmick, which is glorious. I'm so happy. I'm just happy he comes out, crowd's hot, because they were actually pretty hot for Bobby Lashley, but they were hot for Lesnar. Lesnar comes in, goes ready to talk, hits Bobby Lashley with the mic, and gives him an F5. And it was like, all right, good. And the crowd, again, being in Brooklyn, one more time, he gives him a nasty-looking German suplex, folded over on him.
It was like he was landing on his shoulder. It was weird.
Yeah, he folded them over, and then he gave him another F5, and that was pretty much it. So at that point, any other time, you're thinking, okay, well, match is over, because Seth Rollins wasn't even out the ring. It was like it's a no contest. They've done it 100 times. Go to commercial, and they literally come back, and Seth Rollins' music hits, and he's going down the ring, ready for this match. And I'm like, oh boy, are you serious? So they get Bobby Lashley in the ring. He immediately tries to pin him after a couple of moves. Bobby kicks out, and they actually did a good little back and forth where he's still hurt. He's beating him up, but what was it? I think he gave him 3 curb stomps, I think, to finish him off.
Yeah.
I think it was at least.
He did a curb stomp. He did a curb
stomp. Well,
it
started off with him immediately, Bobby Lashley going for a spear, and he reversed it into a pedigree. It was perfect. He dove pedigree. But yeah, so it kind of continued on for a little bit, and yeah, Seth Rollins, the work paid off, it looks like, for this year, didn't it? And he became a 2-time United States champion. So
which is the best, at this point now, I mean, this is the best way to have the rubber match between him and Riddle.
Absolutely.
So now you make them fight for the U.S. title. And hell, I mean, the way I look at it, should give it to Riddle.
Yep.
Because I mean, it was Rollins, he'll wear, obviously he can take the championship and run with it, but I see this as a good way to, obviously, if you want to have Matt Riddle, obviously win the best of 3, this is no better way to do it than put some put some singles gold around him, and just keep it moving.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. That'd be a good match right there. So, yeah, again, the surprises just kept coming on.
Then he called himself the American Bro. Watch.
Yep, there you go. I can book. We're giving you gold.
I'll tell you,
gold.
Papa H, we give you free gold over here.
You give him gold, and we're going to give you gold. There you go.
And then I think because one thing that kind of annoys me about Bobby is like I know people. I know, like as far as the crowd, the crowd makes me feel like he's over as a face goes. But to me, I'm ready for him to turn heel, go back to being a heel again. I mean, face Bobby's all right, but like it just doesn't do it for me. So, it'd be interesting, like if they keep Bobby, Cowboy Bob as Cowboy Brock, as a face. Maybe it'd be kind of like how we was talking about, like how they, when Swerve Our Glory, was doing heel stuff. Eventually, got him worked out, got them over as a heel.
Yeah,
it'd be nice. Like that'd be something I'd like to see. Maybe Bobby does, get to a match with him, overpowers him, does a lot of heel tactic stuff, and that way you keep Brock as a face, and then you put Bobby back as a heel the way he's supposed to be, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, yeah. Bobby needs to be a heel. He was great. Hurt Business was great too. But
and speaking of that, I mean, granted, MVP is doing this thing with Omos right now, but it'd be interesting if they do if they do a pitch with Triple H, pitch to Hurt Business again and see, and you don't even need Shelton Benjamin or Cedric Alexander.
Alexander, yeah.
Yeah, you need them. If you redo the Hurt Business, I'll just instead of them two, I would just put the Street Profits with them.
Yeah, there you go.
They'll still be a tag team. Now you got Street Profits as a heel. Now then this would be kind of a good way to see how Montez Ford does as a heel. So when he does, finally, when they finally do break them up, you can see like who do you want him broken up as a heel or do you want him broken up as a face?
Yeah. It's a good point. It's a really good point. So, yeah. So, I mean, this show honestly had a lot of good surprises and everything. And, then they played a promo for the return of Elias next week on Raw. So, obviously, they gave enough time for him to grow his beard back. So, that's good news.
I'm just really curious to see how much of that beard is going to be there because he's been off TV for about a month now.
I thought it was a little longer than that. I could
be wrong, but I thought he was only off TV for a month.
Not that much longer. So, yeah, it depends. Some people can grow beards fast, but yeah, you're right. He has a big beard. So, I'm curious what they're going to do with that. But as long as they kind of just don't even mention the Ezekiel thing, just come back. Do not mention it. And then go
or
from
what
there.
He could do is maybe he don't even have the maybe he doesn't even do the full Elias beard. He comes back with like Lemmy mutton chops.
Oh, that'd be cool. That would be cool.
Change it up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm digging that. Just something different. Yeah.
Once again, I'm giving out free advice here. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I'll show him. After I made my Halloween costume, a couple years ago for Lemmy Kilmister. Rest in peace, of course. But yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, Raw was great, And honestly, if you took out the DX reunion, it was a great show regardless. Because we talked about before, they were really a non-factor. So it was cool seeing them, but it could have just been its own thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, and that kind of goes on to our next point that we had a little bit of conversation with yesterday when we were watching this. And that would be, DX 25 years old. Wow. Wow. And it was very funny during the promo. Shawn Michaels said, if we're still here at our 50th reunion, please put us out of our misery. And that just made me laugh. I was like, oh, gosh. Yeah, Ric Flair here was like, what? No.
Dear God, because they're going to do an Evolution one. And then he's going what's left of Ric Flair's corpse is going to be coming down there.
He'll start evolving physically. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? Oh my gosh! But yeah, so we were talking a little bit about fantasy ideas for a modern day D-Generation X. Okay. And so we kind of did a little homework, both of us, and came up with a group. Now, mine has, I have 5 people. I don't know how many you had, but I only did 5 for this. Oh,
I think 5 was fair.
So I did 5.
I was thinking 3, but I was like, no, the original stable, because the original stable, it was Shawn, Triple H, and China. And then eventually New Age Outlaws came along, and then Xbox. So,
yep. So yeah, so I got mine. He's got his, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna write a number down right now. Let's see. I'm gonna write 3. 3. That we're gonna have 3 people that's on both of our lists. All right, that's what I'm gonna guess. Which is not a bad thing, huh? You don't? Oh, you don't?
I don't think we are.
Okay, well, let's see. Well, I mean, that's not a bad thing because we are. But okay, so then I'll start then. I'll start and we'll go from there.
You can just do your whole 5.
All right. So what I would do for modern day D-Generation X, Dolph Ziggler, for sure. Dolph Ziggler has to be it. Now I'm not in a sense going to try to compare everyone, but I'm just going to put like a slight comparison. He's definitely my HBK. He's my Shawn Michaels character. He's definitely that character. He's always great on the mic, puts on great work. Funny as hell. So Dolph is definitely my man. And with him, it's got to be Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle's got to be with him. Both of them could rib off each other extremely well. I think it would work. And they would just have a good, good chemistry doing all their stuff. I don't know if you have a woman on your team, but I have a woman. So I have Shayna Baszler, actually. I went with a different route. I didn't go with like a giant woman. You went
with like a female who's like an enforcer, like China was.
Yep, exactly. So I went with Shayna Baszler, where she no nonsense. I'm there to fight, knock you out, choke you out, make you submit, that kind of thing. Then I kind of thought we were just talking about it, but I have Austin Theory. I do. As the Xbox role. He's the annoying twit who uses social media because if it was a modern day DX, that social media would be all over the place, like doing stuff, like all his like ribbing he would do when he would knock someone out, like pictures and stuff. Like it'd be DX, filters. Could you even imagine though? That's what they would do, like little DX. Oh gosh, and he'd be perfect for it. And then finally, I have Robert Roode. I've always liked Robert Roode. I didn't
see that coming.
Yep. Robert, I always liked him in TNA Impact. I thought he was great, and then NXT, and then obviously like most wrestlers, he didn't really get a good fair shot in the main roster. But some of the work he did do was good stuff. So yeah, if that would be my modern day DX team.
I see why you put Robert Roode, because if you put Robert Roode in there, you basically putting his Beer Money version in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, which is great.
Okay, yeah. But like, that would have been my team, had I did it that way. But I feel like had I did a men's team, but you know what I did? I did an all women's team.
All right. Okay. So, hey, man, I guess I was wrong on that. That's good. Huh? That's why you were like, I don't think so.
No. All right. I was like, if I did a man's team, it damn near would have been almost the same thing. So on my roster, I got Liv Morgan. I got Bailey.
All right.
And so when I came up with this roster, I was thinking about Xavier Woods up, down, down, because you get to see like how some of these people are like outside the ring behind the camera.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like in my mind, like, be like a fun DX, kind of like if you did a female version of New Day.
Oh, that's fun. That's kind of cool.
This way I was kind of thinking about it more, the antics, like the antics and dumb stuff. So I got Liv Morgan, I got Bailey, I got Sasha Banks, I got Shotzi.
Oh yeah, Shotzi.
I'm just saying,
always a fan.
I mean, especially because of that tank. You know, who would love to see them all? You know, riding that tank to AEW, challenging. You know,
I mean,
Jay Cardile. You know, to run around that little tank like the boys did. And then my fifth and final member, if I did a modern day DX, will be Carmella.
I like it. I like it because then you have like, you know, she can wrestle a little bit, but she's like more the pretty, you know. I'm not saying none of them pretty. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that she would. Yeah, I like that. I like it. It works in that aspect there.
And then, because a lot of these women, you know, they're funny. They also someone could be obnoxious or whatnot, and like especially with Bayley and Carmella, and then with Liv Morgan, you know, you still, you know, she can go either way. And Shotzi, like, you know, this is kind of what I was thinking about, like basically, obnoxious version of like a New Day.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, I like it. See, that's where it's good. It's good. We can go off each other like this because, you know, thinking outside the box, thinking this, that's good. So, yeah, I thought about Liv Morgan, but then I was like, no, I want to see an enforcer on that. And I just thought, you know, she worked better. I wasn't going to say like Tamina or anything, you know, I was going to say, but no, Shayna Baszler makes it. But yeah, I like them. Hey, you know what?
Baszler almost made it on my female team just because she was going to be like kind of like China, the enforcer. She almost made it on there. Almost. But I was looking through the roster. I'm like, nah, let me do Carmella.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Hey, I like it. I like it. And well, yeah, you know, I'll tell you right now in a future episode, we'll definitely have to talk some more hypotheticals and get in wrestling. And that'd be a good one to do with other high profile factions and make sure to go back and watch our Stables and Factions podcast.
Oh yeah.
On Mafia Sports Report. But yeah, I mean, that was, you know, I like doing it. Homework assignments can be fun. That's what I can say, you know.
And then I don't know what else is on that you got on the docket, Doc. But I just want to hear you because I know obviously you got a lot of gold back there. That room is just dripping with championships. You know.
Yeah, especially this one right here. This one.
We're not gonna start. Listen.
The current reigning, defending Tomato Fountain champion.
So why you gotta be so hurtful on stream? Okay.
Well, it's okay. You know it's okay. Sauce, you are a 3-time champion. That's good.
I'm just saying, you know, words hurt. Okay, I'm just saying words hurt.
You're a 3-time champion. I am an 11-time champion, and the current. So it's okay. You know, we're not comparing or anything.
Hey, listen, I had the longest reign, okay?
No, okay, yes, you did. I will, yes.
So, I know I said it before, but with the Tomato Fountain champion, it's kind of like a, how would you describe it?
The best way I can say is kind of like like if you're doing football, sometimes like a handicapping kind of game. If everyone's ever played something like at a bar or like a play where you have like a list and they'd say like, hey, do you think so-and-so is going to score points? Do you think they're going to win? Do you think a kicker is going to kick? So, like, and then you make those predictions, you put a bet on it. So it's a game that I've been doing for, wow, I don't know, for a long time. I mean, since probably about almost 20 some years, probably 22 years. And, you know, there was some hiatuses here and there during the dark times with myself and a few other times, but it's been a fun time, you know. Anytime we have a few people over, it's always a good time, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll explain it more in detail when we have another show, especially upcoming shows like Survivor Series or Royal Rumble, of course. But that'll be for a future episode.
You know, we were talking, you know, we were messing around with the idea of maybe doing like a live stream, you know, of us, you know, one of these pay-per-views, and you get to see the Tomato Fountain in action. But I think it'd be cool if us, you know, eventually just do like a live stream episode, you know, Luke of the podcast, but do it like live stream reaction, you know, to one of these big pay-per-views. But you know, that'll be down the line.
Yeah. Yep. But you were saying about the gold though. You were talking about like.
Yes, I just ran off track.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, you're a guy. There's a lot of drip back there. You know, a lot of gold. What's your thoughts on this New Japan TV belt?
Well, you know, it's interesting because New Japan Pro Wrestling, you know, they've been around for, you know, since '76. And, you know, for the longest time, they only had like their world title. They had tag team titles. And, you know, then they have a lot of championships, like a lot. But what's crazy is for the longest time, they never had a women's championship.
Right.
So they just introduced a women's championship recently. But just as of this weekend, they announced that they have a new television championship. Now, the reason for this is because New Japan has a service called New Japan Pro Wrestling World, and it's basically kind of like how the WWE Network was, and it's worth the money, especially for big shows like Wrestle Kingdom in January and other shows like that. But they're really pushing this new TV, like website TV brand, because they're bringing a lot of shows over to the United States now. So it makes sense. I mean, about 4 years ago, they introduced the New Japan United States title. Moxley had that for a while, a few other people, Juice Robinson. And so now it's like, well, we have a new TV title and we have a new tournament. And the belt is very weird. It's a very weird looking belt. I mean, I'm all for unique designs. I'm all for, but if you just Google it and look at it, it's very odd. But if you look at it, it's literally just their logo for their New Japan Pro Wrestling World logo. So it's kind of like, so WWE gets flack for having their big W logo on their thing. So now they just do the same thing. But
I do like it though, because the plate itself, is like box shaped like a TV screen, and then the outside, like the leather, is like kind of like that wood brown, wood and brown. That's like on the old school like RCA TV.
Yep.
So that's
it reminds me of the old Ring of Honor television championship that was TV. It was like a little TV. They still look like TV. So, but yeah, it's what's interesting too is apparently this is their reasoning for the belt is that they're doing the new belt. They're only going to have 15-minute time limits, which they really do. They use those more. They use the time limits more in New Japan, it's supposed to be faster action, younger stars, yada yada yada. Okay. They have a big tournament out for it. Literally more than half of the people in the tournament are over 35 years old.
Oh wow!
But yet they were fast-paced and younger people. Like it was Tomohiro Ishii is in it. No. I'm sorry. Like, don't say one thing. Don't say you want younger people in this, but yet have half of them over 35.
Right.
The two people I'm excited to see in this. One, Zack Sabre Jr., extremely underrated, great wrestler, and then Dave Finlay. And yes, as I mentioned earlier, kind of segue with it, Fit Finlay, that is his son, who is another great, very, very talented wrestler. Right. And he really has been exclusive to New Japan. He hasn't really wrestled anywhere else. So,
well, it makes sense. Like if my son has my type of wrestling pedigree, either I would have him go either NXT or New Japan, somewhere where he has where he's more known for his talent versus what type of gimmick he can do.
Yeah.
So, because I know William Regal has a son out here too. Yep. I don't know what wrestling promotion he's with right now, but I heard he's pretty solid, considering who his dad is.
Well, yeah, someone's getting knocked out right there. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on the belt, and definitely moving forward. There's been rumors about possibly new title changes updated for WWE, mainly a unified tag team title, which I would be fine for. I'm kind of just over the carrying 4 straps. It's getting pretty old at this point. And just make one strap, black leather, a 2-tone silver and gold plates, please. And something slight. If you want to put the WWE logo right in the middle, put like a small one. But like that's what you can even keep the whole circle design if you want. But we don't need 2 tag team belts. We don't need them. You have people defend them. And you're going to see that more. Once the Usos lose the belts, you're going to see them defended more and titles changing hands more often. So, but yeah, it's it's good. It was a good week. It was a good weekend, let me tell you. And actually, there was one last thing that I saw. I just saw this right before we went on. Apparently, someone was asking The Rock in an interview. I can't remember. I want to say it was E! News or something. I don't know if you saw this and whatnot. About
I know what you're talking about, but I have an idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, they asked him about Roman Reigns. They asked him about, acknowledge me or the head of the table. And he basically was, called him out without calling him out, saying, that, I'm the head of the table here. And, so there's still, you're going to see that more little seeds of this building that up until Hollywood WrestleMania, Roman Reigns versus The Rock, which is going to, that's going to blow up. With The Rock and his popularity, you're going to see the buy rate on that's going to be massive because of just people that aren't wrestling fans to tune in to watch The Rock wrestle again, let alone with his family, so yeah, so I saw that and it made me think like, okay, continue on with this, build it up. We'll see where it goes. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was extremely good weekend, I think. Wouldn't you say so?
Oh yeah, overall, it was a good weekend just outside of wrestling and in wrestling itself. Saw a pay-per-view, good Raw, and I haven't really watched Raw, like a full episode of Raw, in a very, very long time because 3 hours of wrestling, especially with a whole bunch of ads in it, is exhausting.
Yeah.
So, but I was curious to see how things were going to go, and I wasn't disappointed at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So with all that being said, for this crazy wrestling weekend, who do you have for your heat of the week?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. You know who my heat of the week is? It's gonna be Tony Khan.
Okay, all right.
Definitely not for his booking. not for the fact that he owns AEW, but for the fact that they found out that Sarah Lee passed away.
Yeah.
And they looked on there, and I guess Tony Khan actually donated $10,000 to funeral expenses and all that stuff. And I think I
saw that, and I thought that was a very very nice gesture on his part.
I want to say the goal was like $20,000 or something like that. So he, with his threw his $10,000 in there, and I was like, and that was cool for him to do because, it's not always about even though that's the competitor, that's the opposition, but at the end of the day, it's still a human being. So, for him to do that, that was a good look in my book. So,
yeah. I'd have to agree with you on that for sure. It was a classy move, very classy move for him. So, so for me, I'd have to say, when it comes to the heat of the week, I'm just gonna go with Bray Wyatt. Whether it's the culmination of all his promos, which he had a hand in part of doing, and setting these promos up and like scripting them how they want them to be done, and just the final reveal. Yeah, I'm just excited to see where it's going to go now, and bring it. That's all I gotta say. Because he's in great shape. There was pictures of him recently, working out. He's in great shape, and because I know he got a lot of flack for that near the end of his Fiend time that he gained a lot of weight and whatnot, and he was also going through some stuff, that, you're never going to hear really in wrestling. Fans don't hear. So sometimes you have to fix the mental health first, Yeah. But
yeah, that's a good pick for Heat of the Week, though. Everybody's excited, come back. Everybody's excited for Bray Wyatt. I have coworkers who tell me every week, like, hey, man, when Bray coming back, man? When Bray coming back? I'm like, listen, I don't personally know him, okay?
Stop. I know, right? It's like, come on. We're not like on, like, talking, but we can't. Look, I don't have his number. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh, boy. But, yeah, it's going to be a good time. We're going to see what happens. And then we're going to keep rolling through right now as we get closer and closer to my favorite holiday with Halloween coming up. And then, it's going to be good time, but excuse me. But yeah, so again, great weekend, great time talking with my buddy, Sauce Bronson. And I think at this point, unless there's anything else you want to talk about,
I got nothing.
That's fine with me. Cause you know what? Sometimes the tank's empty. Yeah, we could talk for a while, but sometimes it's on E.
Speaking of tank, I will say, speaking of tank empty, shout out to Dr. Love over here. He's over here with a cold. He probably feels like crap right now. His head's probably spinning. He's probably ready to pass out. He's probably ready to pass out on the floor right now. But he toughed it out. It's that time of year where you wake up and you feel like crap or whatnot. But shout out to Doc over here. He grinded through. He gave us another good podcast this evening. So,
all right. Well, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'll be, I'll feel better in a day or so, and hopefully we'll see. But just winter cold or fall cold or whatnot. But apparently here in Michigan, it's going to be 75 degrees on Thursday because Michigan does have the most temperamental weather I've ever seen, and that's normal for us. So
yeah, every degree over 60 in October, I take it as a personal attack against me.
Bit personal, but oh boy! But everyone that tuned in to watch and everything, and comment and everything like that, thank you as always. And subscribe to the Mafia Sports Report, and hey, make sure to catch us next week. And as always, I'm Dr. Love. And this is Sauce Bronson. And we'll catch you next week.
Y'all have a good one. I'll say be safe and be good. Hey, listen, once again, I got the right hand up this time. Yeah. First try. All right, y'all. Be good.